Hello and welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Jessa Jeremiah, and we have a great show for you. We're going to do a spotlight on a local business. We're going to check in with a couple of our news partners, and right now we're going to learn a little bit about how to improve in business, something we could probably all stand to learn something from. Now this is James Kateman. He's a business coach to the stars. We're going to talk about drawing in customers through business coaching.
That's right.
And now that's actually the name of the business, Draw In Customers Business Coaching.
It is, yep.
I like a tell it like it is name. So
just smooth flow and people can tell what you do, right?
Exactly. That's great. So let's talk a little bit about some of the pointers that you want to give to folks. What do you need to start a business?
The first thing you need is drive or a reason why. There's a lot of people that I see that actually struggle a lot in starting a business. They have just this dream or this vision about what they want to do, and then they get overwhelmed and they think about what all needs to happen. I got to build a website and get business cards and come up with a name and a slogan, find customers and just,
Right.
And then they end up either starting a business and struggling, or they just stay at the job that they're at and it's always someday I'll do this.
That's interesting that that was your answer, because I expected your answer to be, a website and this
Sure.
and that. But you're right. The passion or the drive to do it is going to be far more important, because that's what's going to continue to fuel your efforts
It'll
throughout.
carry you through all that rough stuff.
Absolutely. And there will be rough stuff.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, that's the only thing guaranteed in business, is there will be rough stuff. But talk to us a little bit about some of the must-haves in your opinion.
The must-haves for me, it's a good, memorable name that people know. And I always like to tell people to have an end game in mind. So perhaps someday they want to sell the business or grow the business beyond just themselves. Hopefully they do. And they can have a name that's beyond just Joe's Plumbing or something like that.
Sure.
Something that's marketable.
Right.
Something that's easily found. So now we have to keep track of domain names and stuff like that.
I gotcha.
That are aware of, so people can find them.
Because if you want to pass on the business, you're going to have to know another Joe, right?
Right, yes. That's a plumber, right?
Right, exactly, right. Let's talk a little bit about some advice that you might give to some would-be entrepreneurs out there that might be watching.
I would tell them that if they really have a passion for it, that they should just go ahead and do it. That they should just figure it out. There's always going to be that, oh, this isn't the perfect time, or there's something in the way, or kids, family, excuse. Just do it.
Right.
Jump on it.
There's never going to be a good time.
Never perfect,
that's so true with so many things. Is you just wait for that exact perfect right moment, you're probably going to miss out, because that
for anything,
moment might not happen. Yeah.
Having a kid, moving, getting married, starting a business, it's all the same. It's never a perfect time.
It's a leap of faith, so take the leap.
Right.
I can tell that you're passionate about what you do. In fact, there's a book here that you've got. We might
There
get to that
is,
in a minute. But I want to talk a little bit about why you love working with small business owners. What is it that fuels your fire, your passion?
Oh, that's tough to answer. I had my dad was an entrepreneur. He bought a business, and I learned a lot of what not to do from him.
Sure.
There's certainly a lot what to do, but yeah, I guess you're either a warning or an example. In his case, he was both.
Right.
And just talking with other small businesses and just watching their dreams kind of come to fruition, and see all the success they can have versus most people get stuck in the Monday through Friday. Monday's terrible, Friday's good, rah. I say you should have all 7 days you should enjoy of your life.
And we got just a minute or two left, so I want to talk about some common failures for people out there that maybe they can avoid if they know what they are.
Sure. The biggest one that I see is slow decision making. They just take forever to make a decision, and either the opportunity leaves before they get a chance to make a good decision, or they just take too much time and end up making a bad decision.
I see. Go with your instinct, right?
Yep, just make the decision. Good or bad, just make it.
You've got a business boot camp coming up called Bold. What is that?
It's the Bold Business Boot Camp. It starts September 12th. It goes for 6 weeks, every Tuesday morning. And we try to get people that are starting a business into it, teach them everything we can about the small business, give them a website, business cards, brochure, logo, slogan, just everything, all the basic tangible stuff that they would need to start a business.
Very good.
So that they just run with the idea.
I love it. Well, you can do it. You got this. James says so in his book.
That's right. That's right.
I appreciate the information. Again, this is James Kateman with Draw In Customers Business Coaching. Again, a business coach to the stars. Pleasure having you.
Pleasure being here. Thank you.
We'll be back with more Talk of the Town coming up right after this. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. We're talking about something that you may not be thinking a whole lot about, but something you might be excited to learn more about. I know I am. We're talking a little bit about dry cleaning today, doing a spotlight on a local business. This is Don Goodweiler with Right Touch Dry Cleaners. Thanks for being here.
You bet. Happy to be here.
So some of the questions that I have here, one of which I'm really excited to ask you is, I want to talk a little bit about the misconceptions surrounding dry cleaning. You may be familiar with this thought at home. You sort of drop your things off, they're dirty, comes back clean, but you don't really know what's going on back there. So share with us that process.
Sure. I think that quite a few people, either they're busy in their lives, they have kids, they have jobs, they have stuff going on. So, they'll bring in a bag of clothing and drop it off, and they don't necessarily know what goes on. So dry cleaning fulfills a function that washing doesn't. Maybe one of the misconceptions is that everything gets dry cleaned when you drop it off at the dry cleaner. That's not necessarily the case. So some of the stuff we do wash and press, some of the stuff we do what's called wet cleaning, and some of the stuff we do dry clean. And there's other processes involved too, but we try and follow what care labels say. Now, they're not always right, but dry cleaning performs a function that works well in unison with washing. So washing is good at taking out water-based stains. So if you get something when you break any stain down enough, it's either going to be oil-based or water-based. And washing works really good on the water-based stuff, but let's say you have a t-shirt and you get some pizza grease on it and you wash it and you didn't realize there's a stain on it, but it comes out of the dryer and you can clearly see the grease stain on it. So dry cleaning pulls that kind of stuff out. So it doesn't work as well for the water-based stuff, doesn't really touch it, but for the grease-based stuff, it works really great. So it works great on stuff like if you get some lipstick or makeup on, that's grease-based stuff, and it will pull that out. So it just gives us another option as far as cleaning your clothes to pull out what we need to pull out of it.
That's really interesting, because I would assume if you like you said, a pizza stain or something, I would probably first instinct would be to stick it in the washer.
Right.
And maybe get it out, probably not, right? But you can bring something like that to the dry cleaners and you can go through another process.
Absolutely.
To have a lot more luck.
And one of the conversations I constantly have with customers is, if you get a stain on your clothing and you don't know what to do, don't do anything to it. Just bring it to us, and the first time you try and treat a stain. I've been doing this for over a decade, for 13 years, and I do all the spotting at my shop. So I know quite a bit about this, and the first time you attack a stain is your best chance to get it out.
Okay.
So even, rubbing a little water on it is not a good idea. So if you're not sure, your best bet is to bring it into a dry cleaner like ours and give us a chance to work on it from the get-go.
What a great tip. A perfect misconception to bust for us. I want to make sure we chat a little bit about some of the specialty services. I was looking at your website, RightTouchDryCleaners.com, and saw a really impressive list of some specialty things that you do that I didn't realize were even possible. So share some of those with us.
Sure. There's quite a few things. So some of the more obscure ones would be down pillows. So we can actually clean your down pillow. Now, it's not a cleaning process where we put it in a machine and clean it like that. What we actually do is we cut open the ticking, which is the covering to the pillow, and then we dump all the down into a machine, and it's tumbled in there, and there's an ozone that's released inside the machine. And ozone actually is one of the best ways to kill bacteria. So you actually clean the feathers, and then we blow those feathers back into a brand new ticking, and so it shuts. So you're essentially getting a brand new pillow. So that's one. We do quite a few wedding dresses. So you're done with your wedding, and the gown is sitting in the closet or under the bed or whatnot, and you'd like to hang on to it. You can actually bring it to us, and I used to do them at the shop, but now we send them out to a very reputable company, and they clean it and preserve it in a preservation box, and actually vacuum seal it in there. And there's a little window where you can see it, and the preservation is actually guaranteed for life too. So we do leathers, we do furs, we do sewing and alterations, as well as repairs. If you need a button replaced or whatnot, we'll take care of that for you.
What a long list.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few things. Even some of the specialty cleaning, we can do stuffed animals. We've done like mascot uniforms before. So
all these things that I wouldn't think about.
Right.
This is turning into a long list, but I love it. These are great ideas for us to, some of the things you might have thought couldn't keep anymore,
Sure.
or don't touch that grease stain. That was my biggest takeaway.
Right.
So thank you
Absolutely.
for sharing all that. This is Dawn
You bet.
Goodweiler with Right Touch Dry Cleaners. Pleasure chatting with you.
You too.
We've got more Talk of the Town coming up right after the break.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town. Today we're speaking with Byron Janice, an internationally renowned pianist. He was recently written into the congressional record of both the Senate and the House of Representatives, honoring him as a musician, a diplomat, and an inspiration, as well as being a spokesperson for the Arthritis Foundation as its national ambassador to the arts. Mr. Janice was the first American artist chosen to participate in the first cultural exchange between the United States and the Soviet Union. Good morning, Mr. Janice.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
So, what can you tell us about the new album that you're releasing?
Well, really it's quite different from anything else I've done because it includes some of the music I have written, composed, some songs that I have composed. And then I did something with Cy Coleman, you know, the man who wrote so many musicals, successful music. And we did something called Class, classic jazz improvisation, variations, I should say, on the theme by Paganini. So that's kind of fun. But it's the first time I ever put my other side, which is more popular music, onto a recording.
So this is the first release of that track?
Yes.
Nice. This one is really interesting. You had psoriatic arthritis. How has that affected your playing and your professional life in general?
Well, certainly it affected it. I didn't announce that I had it for about 12 years. It started in 1973, and then it was announced that I had it, and the Reagans heard about it, and Nancy Reagan did a lunch at the White House, and she was the one who announced it. And then I became the spokesman for the foundation. And it's a disease which really is incredible. I don't know how many, 60 million people or something. Well, it's not fatal, but can be a very problematic. For me, it was in my hands and wrists. So all the doctors were saying to me, "You'll never play again." I didn't listen, and I played all my life, and I'm still playing.
You were able to keep playing through the pain?
Through pain and through the pain. It's strange. As soon as I sit down, there will be pain to play the piano, and then very shortly, I'm not aware of any pain. The focusing is on music and what I feel, and it's an amazing thing. Anybody can focus on something else very strongly, and that pain will be less.
Okay, yeah. What about your relationship with playing in the Soviet Union and Cuba? What can you tell us about that?
Yes, well, the cultural exchange between the United States and the Soviet Union started in 1960, and I was chosen by the Kennedy administration to be the first American to go to the Soviet Union. And I was the first American, and when I walked out on the stage in Moscow, I didn't hear any applause, but what I did hear was U-2, U-2, U-2. U-2 was a spy plane that we had, which was supposedly not able to be shot down because it flew so high. Well, the Russians figured out a way to shoot it down, and they did about 6 months before I came there. So at the first concert in Moscow, no applause, shouting, U-2, U-2. That was not easy. But I steeled myself, and I began to play. And how music can change people. At the end of the concert, there were really lots of tears. And I thought, what music can do is incredible. And you know, it's been proven. Music has scientifically been proven to be a health, a cure of some sort for different things. The brain is affected when you play an instrumental music, and then the brain does something to heal certain parts of the body. So that's what's helped me in my career. I've been playing piano all those years, all these years.
Yeah, thank you so much. That is really good information.
May I just tell you that this recording that I made is available at, I think it's byronjanice.com on my website.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be right back. Thank you.
Hi, and welcome back to Talk of the Town. It is finally warm enough to talk about this topic. We're excited to talk about summer skincare. We're joined now by our news partner, the Medicine Shop Pharmacy in Monona, and owner Eric Hewitt is here. Thanks for being here.
Thanks again for having me back.
Glad to talk to you, and I'm so glad we can finally talk about skincare.
Yes, it's been a long haul.
Yeah, it means we're outside, we're having
Yes.
fun. But let's talk about a few key pointers that you have for us to keep ourselves protected this summer.
Yeah. So number one thing, and you hear it all the time, make sure you put sunscreen on before you get exposed to the sun. It's not always the easiest thing to remember that before we go out of the house, we got to put that stuff on. But immediately when you get out there, you start getting exposed. So put it on before. Make sure you have something that's a broad spectrum coverage that, high enough SPF, probably at least I would say 30 SPF, and something that's broad spectrum so it covers you. And then just make sure that you reapply. Just because you put it on before you leave the house doesn't mean it's going to last for the duration of time that you're going to be out there.
Yeah, that's a good point, especially when you've got kids out there too, because
Yes.
it's hard getting those little bodies reapplied sometimes, but so
Yes.
important.
It is,
So,
because it doesn't last forever,
No.
unfortunately.
About
It-
how long now do you think it lasts for some?
It really depends on your skincare type,
Yeah.
or your skin type, I mean. Some people that are a little bit, not as tan or don't come from a line that has, a deeper complexion, they're going to have to reapply more often. Maybe up to every, hour or 2 hours kind of a thing. Some people that are a little bit more dark complected, maybe a little bit less often, maybe every, 2 to 3 hours, that kind of thing.
Sure.
But so I would say a couple hours, especially if you're in straight sunlight, it's not a bad idea to reapply.
Yeah, absolutely, especially on the water with all the reflection
Yes.
and such. I'm about every 10 minutes. I'm kind of close to it, I probably should. Let's talk a little bit about the different kinds of sunscreens that are offered, because there's all these different choices, right? You got your spray, you got your lotion,
Yep.
you've got waterproof, sweat-proof. What are some of the pros and cons, or what
Sure.
should we be choosing?
Obviously, the continuous spray stuff is really convenient. I mean, with my kids, we use it all the time. It's so much more convenient, especially with faces and necks and that kind of stuff. But sometimes you're relying on, obviously, aerosols to give coverage, and it's not going to give as even a coverage as the old-fashioned putting the lotion on, that kind of thing. As far as waterproof and sweat-proof go, they help. But nothing is waterproof, nothing is sweat-proof. So if you're out swimming, again, you're going to have to apply it more often, because there really is no such thing as just putting it on. It's going to stay on no matter what. So those things are better in those types of situations, but saying they're completely waterproof or completely sweat-proof
Right.
is not really truly the case.
Yeah, and you don't want to let that give you sort of a false sense of security.
Exactly.
So careful of those.
We've probably
Now-
all been there too, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've learned from experience. Let's talk about this, because I think this is one that's important, where if some of these things you did already know, here's one that you may not think about too much, which is the combination of medication and skin sensitivity. That
Yep.
can be a big troublemaker for some folks if
Yep.
you don't know if yourself or your kid is on a certain medication that causes issues. So
Yes.
chat with us.
Absolutely. And that's something that people, may not be used to, because maybe they just got put on a medication. There are a few broad classes of medications that can cause that. Always, again, talk to your pharmacist to know whether or not you're on a specific one, but things like antibiotics. Not all antibiotics, but some antibiotics can cause sun sensitivity. Some blood pressure medications, some anti-seizure medications. Those types of things can have these sun sensitivities that make you more sensitive to sunlight and have you get burned easier when you're out and exposed to sun.
Really good pointers. Yeah, think about how many times your kids go on antibiotics in the course of a lifetime. Probably one or at least
Yes.
once or twice. So really good point. Now, if we didn't listen to anything you just said,
Yes.
and we get sunburned, What are some good remedies for
Yeah.
us?
The old tried and true aloe is one of the best things that you can do. It helps to moisturize, it helps to kind of cool the skin, that kind of thing. But again, staying moisturized, your skin gets sunburned, it gets damaged, and then it gets really dry, and you start to peel and itch and that kind of thing. So make sure the skin stays moisturized is also a good thing. But tried and true aloe, you can't get better than that.
All right, that's a good tip, the real deal. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. Again, is Eric Hewitt, owner of Medicine Shop Pharmacy in Monona, right on Monona Drive. Thanks for the pointers. We
Yes.
appreciate it. Thank you so much to all of our guests for being with us today, and I want to thank you at home for watching. Please join us next time for Talk of the Town.